either way, you're just trying to make the numbers work. MLS is, there's deals to be had, especially if you're creative and you can think of a lot of ways to add value to a property or really maximize the cash flow. I know a lot of people make it work, but don't give up. Yeah. Don't give up. You got to keep looking. Just got to put in those reps. Got to put in the time to sift through all the transactions, all the emails of deals that you're getting blasted, and you'll find something. Commit yourself to analyzing 10 deals a week or something. You'll get something.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where Kyle Curtin takes you on an extraordinary journey alongside renowned multifamily real estate experts from every corner of the United States. We teach you how to harness the power of real estate investing and witness the transformation of your wealth building strategy. Let's create wealth together.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 147 of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Today, we are joined once more by the legend Ryan Emrich. He came on during episodes 93 and 94 of the show. Before this, we're very excited to have him on again. He is one of the awesome co-founders of the Blue Canyon Equity Partners, and he's doing some really cool stuff. So we're extremely excited to have him on here again. Ryan, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great, Kyle. Thanks for having me back on the show. I appreciate it. How have you been?
I've been hanging in, my friend.
That's good. It looks like you got some more tech since the last time I've been on here. You got graphics in the background now. Sweet little microphone. You got merch on. I love that. I don't think we had that on last time.
I don't believe so, man. Yeah, it's definitely been a little while. I will tell you, the only reason I have the background, though, is because we had like a flood come through the basement, and we had to take like wood paneling off, so it kind of looks like shit. So that's why everything's all like fuzzy and like. But I appreciate the compliments, dude.
I guess we're fortunate to have this advanced technology now. But hiding gold in the background.
Exactly, man. Absolutely. But yeah, man. So I'm excited to kind of jump back in from, where we were a few years ago. You've done some absolutely, incredible is not even close to the best word for it, things since the last time that you came on the show. And I'm excited for you to dig into some of that kind of stuff, man. Wherever you want to jump in is totally cool, man.
Sounds good. No, I appreciate it. I think the last time we spoke, I had just closed on and was starting to stabilize a couple multifamilies that we found out in Ayer, Massachusetts, like northwest of Boston by like not even an hour. And we had found 11 units off market, direct to seller through a direct mailer. And we were working on stabilizing that. And those are some good two properties there. And one of them, we actually raised money to start doing cosmetic updates on. So rather than get the construction loan through the bank, we had somebody in our network that we raised some money from, and we were able to use that to complete the cosmetic updates, do the unit turns, bump up the rents. And we were able to do a cash out refinance on that and get all of our money back and pay back the private money lender. So that was an awesome deal for us, and like a good kind of concept proving property deal. And so then that was kind of 2022 rolling into 2023 found another opportunity. And I know you know of this, but I don't think I've had an opportunity to speak about it at all on your show yet, which was a portfolio in New Bedford, Massachusetts that we found off market. It was like 68, 69 units, something like that. And it's 12 buildings. It's a perfect size portfolio and purchase price to syndicate. And one of my goals for 2023 was to do a syndication, real estate syndication. If you don't know what a syndication is, it's an investment vehicle where GPs, general partners, put together a deal and they can raise money from passive limited partner investors that come on the deal. And there's different versions of it. But ultimately, we had people in our network, friends and family that were interested, business colleagues, stuff like that, that were interested in partnering with us on a deal. And so we raised money for that. And that was actually, that was a tough thing to do because there's a lot of money and we had never raised that much money before. And we had Blue Canyon partnered with some other groups, Freed Management included, and Millennium Holding Group to get that done. But it's been like such a great learning experience. It's been a great investment opportunity. We're starting to sell off some of the smaller buildings at our ARVs that we were projecting like 3+ years out. So we got these buildings under contract. There was equity day one. We knew they were there, but we didn't think there was going to be as much as there was. So we've had a great time selling off some of the smaller buildings to recoup some of our initial investments back to the investors and pay off distributions, I guess, your profits, etc. Preferred returns, I guess, is the better term to use. And then now and that kind of rolled in 2024. There's some other smaller deals last year too, but now 2024, we're like, okay, like what do we want to do this year? And one of our goals, well, I'm looking at the cat over here. She's one of the goals this year was we're like, okay, well, where we've always wanted to get is larger apartment buildings. Just economies of scale, right? More doors under one roof, easier to manage, the similar systems throughout. It's much easier than dealing with a scattered site portfolio, which was the New Bedford syndication. So we've been looking at some deals this year out in Haverhill, and where else have we looked? Lowell. We looked at something in Saugus, not Saugus, Lynn. And now we're actually out in Springfield right now because we've got a 20-unit building under contract, which we're stoked about. The numbers look good. We found this through a broker. It was a pocket listing. It was presented to us before it hit the market. We were able to get it under contract before it hit the market. Then it did hit the market. I don't think it was supposed to, but I think they had already set up the listing and it went live. But anyway, there was a ton of demand and we're like, all right, we're good. We're glad we have this under contract. So we're trying to get the purchase and sale agreement done like ASAP because we want to make sure we have this locked up. So this is probably going to be another deal where we either JV it with some investors in our network or maybe we'd syndicate it. But I think we're trying to just keep it to a core group of people in our network that want to collaborate on a deal like this. So still doing the due diligence. It's a new market for us. So we just want to make sure we're really understanding the market fundamentals there, but we're stoked about that. And then there's one other thing we're up to. There's John Marchese, one of my other co-founders at Blue Canyon. He's got extensive experience in development, redevelopment, new construction, home remodeling, stuff like that. And he's done a lot of flips, condo conversions. And I said, you know what? Blue Canyon needs to do stuff like that. There's people in our network where we're like, if they probably, there's people who want to put their money in deals that they know are going to be longer term holds, but there's also people that want to put money in deals where they know they're going to get back in like 6 months or 12 months or something like that. Plus, I think flips are kind of sexy, right? It's like what you see on
Absolutely.
I feel like it's so relatable, like taking something ugly, making it beautiful. We all want to live in like a beautiful home, right? We aspire to live in that beautiful modern kitchen and have the nice bathrooms with all the tile fixtures and all that cool and the lights in the ceiling, changing color lights or whatever. So I think it's just a very relatable and cool thing to be a part of. And so I was like, you know what? We should start targeting some flips. And we've got a single family flip opportunity under contract. P&S is being drafted. We're hoping we're going to sign it in the next couple of weeks, but that's a flip opportunity that we got under agreement for like a really good price. So we're also excited about that. So we got a couple things in the pipeline for this year, kind of slow and steady. It's like slow and steady growth, but like forward progress. I know there's a lot of people in our network and our space that are moving like super aggressively, and I'm very proud of them and I'm envious of them, but we're also like we want to be cautious. We want to make sure we're not moving too quickly, that we're safeguarding investor money, that we're, also growing in the types of projects and endeavors that we take on. So that's kind of what I've been up to. And it's been 2024 is up to a good start, I'd say. We're not even halfway through the year. I guess we just got through. We're not even through Q1, right? Q1 ends in a couple days. It's March 28th. Yeah. Recording. So we got a couple of days until we're end of Q1. So I'm happy. I got a smile on my face.
Yeah, dude, I see that. Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. No, it's so freaking cool, man. You know what I mean? Especially, from knowing you from the past few years at this point, man. Time's flying by really freaking fast right now. It's a little scary. But like seeing the really crazy progression, especially into the economies of scale, continuing on a much larger, type of project, type of asset to manage and collaboration, it's highest form, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
as well as, doing that with, something a bit on the opposite side of the spectrum, being a flip and that kind of thing. That's cool as shit.
And I'm trying to be mindful. So like we're doing this stuff and there's things that we're learning. There's things I already know. We're putting into use existing skill sets and building new ones and growing existing ones. But one of the things I'm trying to be mindful of is producing educational content around the projects that we're doing, because I know there's people who were in my shoes like a few years ago where they're like kind of looking around like, oh my goodness, like how am I ever going to get there? And it's definitely good to have goals, right? But I'm also cognizant of like comparison is the thief of joy. I love that expression because like don't get so caught up in what everybody else is doing, right? Like you just need to focus on your path and making sure that you're making forward progress in your own journey. So look at what you were doing 6 months ago and a year ago and decide if you've made adequate progress in your life. Don't necessarily compare to others, but I want to help people. I want to help people to show them that it's like, this is attainable. I was able to do this in a few years, and you can too. And you can probably do it quicker, right? Like, you just got to learn the things that I've been learning, and you can probably learn it quicker if I help tell you all the secrets, so to speak, that we've been figuring out, if you want to call it that. But so I've been trying to post, you've probably noticed I've been ramping up the social media game the last year and pushing out more content on TikTok and on my Instagram and Blue Canyon's Instagram account and stuff like that. So trying to get the word out there, what we're doing, but also trying to share the experience with people. And my goal, my intent is for some of the projects where we think it makes sense is to maybe do like a small meetup and kind of a meet and greet type of thing where we walk through one of the projects that we've worked on site, maybe grab some brewskis, some whatever people want, wine, soda, if you just want a soda, maybe some pizza, and we just sit and walk through like one of the properties that we've flipped recently. Like, that's where I want to be. I think that's a great goal, and share that experience with everybody, right? Even if it doesn't matter, success or failure, like we can learn from all of it as a team together. So it's been fun. It's awesome being a part of this community. I'm very grateful to have met you guys and to keep going to these like meetups and beyond, podcasts like this.
Exactly, man. 100%. And I love that so much, man. Kind of that, like, trying to, record as much as possible, especially like while you're in the moment of, going through some of these experiences. And like, for multiple, or I guess, for multiple reasons or multiple benefits, whatever, like, one, building your own brand at the same time, but also, being able to teach other people at the same time, like, hey, this is a very tactical situation that I just went through, whether it went well or not so much. Like, this is what things looked like. These were the lessons that I learned from it. These are the things that came up and how we got through them. And like, there's just so much value there across the board, and the other thing that I love about what you said, Ryan, too, is I've been to a few of those kind of events where like you see them in Boston once in a while, like, from developers that are like building condos or like doing conversions or, something like that. Occasionally they'll throw like an event on meetup.com or something like that for like 10, 15, 20 people. And it's one of those like, oh, like everything's down to the studs, or we're, past the first phase of construction. Like, come on down, we'll have like, a slide deck printed out for everybody and stuff. And, have a night out, and just kind of talk about the project and see like what you're up to and stuff like that. I think that's cool as shit, man. Especially to be on something that you're so intimately working with directly. Like, it's your thing, and you get to kind of share that experience with a lot of other people at the same time, man.
Oh, hell totally. Yeah. And one of the groups in this space that I totally envy, I have a man crush on this company. It's White Acre, it's White Acre Properties. And I was in a meetup the other night, and Ennis, one of the co-founders over there, he was speaking at that. And I didn't even know he was going to be there that night, but I was like, this is awesome. And I unfortunately had to go early, but I was asking as many questions as I could while he was presenting, because I was like, there's so many things, to learn from this guy. He's got an incredible story over the last 10 plus years. And they, through one of those meetups, they like and kind of in-person tour of a condo, 2-unit in Malden that they had condo converted. I want to say they did it in like 2020. That's what I remember going. If it wasn't 2020, it was 2021. But it was such a great experience, and got to ask questions. They printed out sheets where you got to look at the numbers, got to meet people, and I'm like, this is cool. So if I ever get to start doing flips, condo conversions, anything like that, I think there's a ton of value, and I want to do more of those kind of walkthroughs. So that's what we're trying to do. And I know you've done them too, right? Like, you've gone to apartment building development sites in like Wakefield and stuff, I feel like, before.
Yeah. There was a couple in Dorchester that I went to, like some of the guys in Boston occasionally. Yeah. It's fun, you know what I mean? Like, also like just to see what other people are up to, and the types of things types of projects that people are working on and crushing, that's
what you got to do. Like, especially if you're like new to this, if you just go, I don't even care if you haven't read any books, you don't know any of the language, just start going to the meetups, especially the free ones. Like, you got nothing to learn, like to lose, but you got everything to learn. You have to be vulnerable. Obviously, you don't know that much. You're going to probably sound a little stupid when you talk, but maybe you don't talk that much, or maybe you just get comfortable with it, right? Ask questions. And it's all about learning. Don't worry about what other people are judging you for, right? Like, you just got to surround yourself with the type of people that you aspire to be, I guess, is the way to do it. So.
Exactly, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's incredibly exciting, man. It is. You know what I mean? And so as far as I'm kind of curious your experience right now with the current like economic climate that we're in, with where rates are at right now. Looking for deals both on the larger side and on the smaller side, like with the flips as well. Like, have you seen, I guess maybe in like the past couple years with like debt changing so much and like demand and everything changing so much, like how are you, or let me rephrase that, are you navigating things a little bit differently right now than say you were like a year ago, to kind of adapt, or kind of a
I'm trying to be I'm trying not to speculate too much, right? Like if I thought there was pending doom on the horizon, I would handle things a little differently or analyze things differently. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, I think as a lot of people are, that interest rates will start trickling down this year. But I think we all need to understand that that's going to come with a very real result of increased demand and people coming back into the market. So I don't necessarily think it's going to help anybody with home prices. I really think it's just kind of like one variable in the equation, and you're going to end up probably with the same mortgage payment either way. The rate's going to go down, but the price is going to go up, or something to that effect. So I think, for me, as I think about like flips and stuff like that, I think the market's going to hold steady. I think definitely selling in spring or summer, those are the popular months, the high demand months where single family, pretty much everything trades, right? Because everybody's out and about. It's not near the holidays. You can, especially in the snowy areas of New England or the country, there's not snow covering roofs. You can just see more. It's more comfortable to be outside. So I just think, things trade at a premium in the spring and summer, it seems, and kids are out of school and it's easier for families to move. So we're really excited about an opportunity to do a flip right now where we know it's going to hit the market at the ideal time of the year. So we're excited about that. I'm not like nervous about things like that. I don't think there's going to be huge swings in construction. I think the consensus is right now there's limited inventory, but there's also enough demand that it's not causing moving in the prices really. And there's still things that are selling over asking. I think that's pretty routinely happening every time I look at the numbers, every time we go to the meetups and they're talking about the numbers. So I personally am not. I mean, I think there's some economists, there's always economists talking about things in both directions. I know there's some talking about stagflation, but I think ultimately real estate is going to hold strong. I usually always think back to the extremes. So I'm like, all right, the recessions of 2008, what happened to the real estate market in Massachusetts? Yeah, there might have been some slight dips, but no homes in Eastern Massachusetts probably precipitously fell like 10%. It's a pretty stable market. And I don't think anything's going to be that bad. So it's kind of like historically, maybe there's some stability. Maybe home prices don't appreciate at all, or maybe there's some slight decreases, 1 or 2%. I just think that if you're buying smart, you're trying to think about value add opportunity. If you're a multifamily investor, you're buying for cash flow, or if you're, whatever type of investor, but if you're buying for cash flow, it's okay if there's a little bit of fluctuation in the market value of your property, right? Like you just need to make sure you're going to keep covering that debt service and those expenses. That's really what you need to be mindful of. So yeah, that stuff doesn't scare me. I wouldn't say. Same with interest rates. Some people like to want to time this market and want to wait till interest rates get lower, but like still run the numbers with the higher interest rate. And if the deal works, it does, and lower the price or get more creative, build in a seller credit, buy down the rate, do interest only for a year or two, look at 5-year adjustable rate mortgages, 2-1 buy downs where the seller pays the interest difference between two rates for like the first couple of years, just to like help you get by this higher interest rate season. I guess there's ways to go about it to manage it a little bit. I actually think I posted a blog article on that recently on our website. Not to plug it. You can kind of still stay in the market. It's not necessarily front of mind, or they're harder to get away with when there's so much demand and it's very competitive. It's still competitive, but I think there's room for flexibility right now because it's not like it's a crazy frenzy eating season like it was during right after COVID, right? Like with 2021, 2022, the demand we were seeing there and the units, the prices above listing price. We're not there right now, but it's tougher to be as creative during those times because like everybody, right? Like everybody's like waving stuff. They're like, no inspection contingency, no financing contingency. I'm buying all cash. I'm buying 12% over asking.
Yeah, man. It's been interesting. I totally agree with you, by the way, like with all that, man. And it is incredibly interesting, man, that like, you know, it almost seems like, I mean, especially for on market properties right now, that cash on cash is like kind of non-existent. I mean, dude, like there was a building that that me and a client looked at for him. It was a 9-3 that was listed in Leominster for $585. And we threw an offer, and it wasn't the most aggressive by any means, but you know, it's the first one we were putting in together and teaching and you know, that kind of thing. So I follow up with the listing agent the next day, and she's like, so you know, we have like clean offers with basically nothing on them, completely blank, for like $650. And I'm like, nope. And it's like it's friggin' wild, man. You know what I mean? But I totally agree with you. Like I feel like it forces you to adapt to the ecosystem, you know, to maybe, you know, pivot in slightly in different directions to try to like, you know, make the numbers work a little bit better. You know, it's more than likely not just going to be as simple as like, oh, you know, here's like a decent building with what my pre-approval and like,
yeah,
great. Like it's okay. You know,
and I'll add to that, like 20, if you can put down 20-25%, probably don't look, you can afford to not look on the MLS. You can go look for off-market opportunities on like Facebook groups, go make good relationships with brokers to get those pocket listings, to get on there, like, so that you're front of mind when they've got a deal that they don't want to necessarily market. Maybe because a lot of sellers, a lot of landlords, they don't necessarily want to advertise, get their tenants all wound up that they're about to sell and have a bunch of walkthroughs. You know, it upsets the tenants. They don't want to worry about collection issues. So a lot of landlords do want to kind of sell hush hush. And if a broker knows that, they can find you that's a serious buyer and they can line you up, you know, be the market maker and pair up the transaction. And you can avoid all the competition of like when things hit the MLS. So if you get, definitely if you have 20-25% you can put down on a property, I think you should consider looking for those off-market opportunities, even still talking with agents, just building the relationships. But then also it's a little tougher, I think, if you're going to do the low down payment stuff, but it still can work. Like I know definitely for sure there's agents who get good volume of pre-MLS stuff that they'll market, they'll email blast, potential buyers. So try to get on those too. You know, there's ways to do it. And it's just like a little bit, right? If you can get like 5% under asking, that goes a long way, you know, because then you've got installation there. You got a little barrier in case things go wrong. But that's awesome if you can do that. Just trying to make the numbers work. MLS is, you know, there's deals to be had, especially if you're creative and you can think of a lot of ways to add value to a property or really maximize the cash flow. I know a lot of people make it work, but don't give up. Yeah. Don't give up. You got to keep looking. Just got to put in those reps. Got to put in the time to sift through all the transactions, all the emails of deals that you're getting blasted, and you'll find something. You know, commit yourself to analyzing 10 deals a week or something. You'll get something.
Hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
I guess that's my piece of advice for people.
Yeah.
Not that you asked for it. But.
It's always welcomed, man. Don't you worry. But yeah, no, I love it, man. You know what I mean? And it's definitely you know, kind of challenging out there, and just gonna keep your head high.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But as long as you're making forward progress, right? It's like, that's what I was talking about earlier. It's exactly. You know, don't try to compare yourself to others. Try to focus on what you're trying to get accomplished. Broadcast that to as many people as possible in your network so that they know what you're looking for, so you're front of mind when you find stuff. And either way, no matter, you know, any time of any period in the economic cycle, I think it's just a valuable thing to do that, to establish what you want and try to manifest it. I don't know if you're into that stuff, but you know,
hell yeah, man. Yeah,
manifest stuff from the universe.
Exactly. And you never know, man, too. Like guys, there was a building that Ryan and I were talking about before we started, and I'm not going to share too much, but there was a building that I was trying to get.
Are you feeling so hurt about it?
It's a small world, so and there was, this particular, situation with this building that was in Leominster that I was trying to pick up off market. And basically, like, long story short, things didn't pan out, for a couple different reasons there. But basically, like, it was one of those situations where there was a person that, was living decently far away from the building, had other businesses and stuff like that they were focusing on. Me, the management for this particular building that the person was self-managing wasn't the best. He kind of wanted to get rid of it and, maybe buy some stuff in the other location that he was living in, for easier management. But even at, I was underwriting initially at 7.0. And yeah, it's what, March 28th of 24. For, using like a 5% conventional debt to house hack again, for me for that one. And the numbers were panning out pretty flipping good, and I mean, that was even with a 9% property management expense in there, which wouldn't be the plan for a while because I want to self-manage, until I get to that point where it's super overwhelming. But to basically, sugarcoat Ryan's point, like, the deals are still out there, guys. Like, you might have to pivot, like, be a little creative with the way that you do things, adapt accordingly, and, like, just try to think outside the box and play the game of give and take, to be able to, be a bit more aggressive, situation dependent, while also not turning it into a gambling match and, betting everything on red. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's tough. You want to be aggressive, and when you lose out on enough deals, you kind of get more aggressive. I mean, I notice sometimes people will do that. And you get frustrated. Yeah, right. You get frustrated. It stinks when you want to make moves, buy deals, get them under contract, and, like, things aren't working out for you. But try to be logical. You don't want to do anything that you're going to regret, for sure. Make sure the numbers work, right? Like, we need to be intelligent investors at the end of the day. Stick to your metrics, stick to your guns, be willing to walk away. But that just means you got to analyze more deals, I guess, right? Like, if it takes, maybe instead of analyzing 20 deals to get one good deal, you got to analyze 35 now. You just got to put in the extra work.
Exactly. And to that's something that I did kind of want to ask you about, man, is, like, I know obviously, sourcing off market is definitely a big thing that the both of us are trying to do right now. What's kind of been like a favorite for you guys? Like, are you very heavy into direct mail? Relationships, I know is definitely a very big one. In the relationship capital, or doing a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna do, like, the easiest thing to do is to just network with brokers, especially for the bigger deals, to try to get stuff like the pocket listing type of stuff. But that's still gonna be higher. There's opportunity to get things at even a steeper discount if you cut out the middleman and go straight to seller, or owner, whatever you want to call it. I've done direct mail and I've had success with it, and it's kind of like a numbers game, right? And, like, I just walked a property today that I found off market through a direct mailer. I think we're going to come to an agreement on what the seller wants, and I've got a money partner lined up, and we're going to try to tackle the deal together. 6 units. But there's also other ways. So, like, I know there's pay per click. This is, like, funny because I'm, like, doing it right now. I'm doing, like, Google ads and stuff like that.
Yeah. Man.
And I'm experimenting with it, right? And I started with a small budget. I think I started like $500 a month, and I just upped it to $1,000 a month. And I'm talking with a guy I know from one of the real estate meetups that's very good at, he's deep in the weeds in this type of stuff. He does it for his normal, like, 9-to-5 job. And so we're talking about maybe putting together a specialized ad campaign. I forget what he called it. It's like a multi-touch campaign. So you can get, like, slots on a billboard for, like, a second or two at a time. And that gets you a certain number of impressions. That might get you, like, 7 impressions if the advertisement's up for 10 seconds. Because that's how many people are going to look at it when they drive by. And that's, it's not that expensive though. That's like $50, I guess, every time it shows, or $15 every time it shows. But, like, it adds up, right? It's a numbers thing. So I just want to experiment. I want to see, like, it'd be nice to learn if there are ways to get other types of opportunities in different ways. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that type of advertising worked better for finding single family flip opportunities. But then for multifamily investors, it's probably you want to land in their mailbox and give them a nice, like, clean, presentable letter or something like that. I don't know though. It's very subjective. There's studies and stuff on this, but like not probably for this exact niche. But what have you been up to? Like, I know you've experimented with handwriting letters. I started doing that too, but then I'm like, I wanted to do more of that. I mean, I don't think an apartment building owner is going to care if it's handwritten or not. Like, it's probably going to get opened if it looks like a bill or a check, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're going to open it. Maybe not a bill though. I've thought about the psychology of this. Like, if you're a type of person that's behind on paying your bills, that might be an anxious thing for you to get something that looks like a bill. So maybe you don't want your letter to look like a bill because they might not open it. Like that's stuff I'm trying to think about. So I guess it just depends. If you're going for people who have tax liens and stuff like that, you probably want something that looks like a check because they're the ones that need the money.
And you can be the solution.
Yes.
I hear you, man. No, I love it, man. It's, again, trying to, kind of go outside the box and figure out how to stick out in, some of those unique ways to, to still get the right eyes on the right message. There's something that me and a buddy have been experimenting with. We ended up hiring a cold calling company out of the Middle East, like full time. So we're kind of
where in the Middle East? Is it Egypt? Out of curiosity, I mean, some people don't call that the Middle East, but yeah, Egypt,
or wherever it is. Yeah,
yeah, Northeast Africa, I guess. But whatever. It's
So we're dabbling with that right now. Very, very early into it, like a few days in. So we're kind of testing that out, but.
That's sweet. Because I know somebody that's also doing. I won't put their name on blast here.
But I feel like I know who you're talking about. Yeah, we can talk after.
Yeah. But he's doing it too. I'm like, oh, it's out here. He was at the meetup the other night. I was talking to him. I'm actually like funny. I met him at one of the meetups, but I actually know his fiance or wife or whatever from like high school. But he's been doing this stuff and he's using the same probably cold calling service. And he like had a lead that night. He's like, oh yeah, I just started this thing up. Got to do like 10,000 leads a month, but I already got a lead in Maynard or whatever. And I'm like, hey, keep me in mind if you get that under contract because we might want to do another flip in Maynard.
Yeah, man. So I'm really excited about that, because my buddy, he cold called during the day. I did it a few years ago before I bought Lemonster and I haven't really done it since, so I've called probably between like 700 or 800 dials, which is nothing at all in any scheme, you know what I mean? But
a lot. It's certainly more than I've done. I think I've called 15 people, 20 people ever. It's tough. It's time consuming, and if you don't get like results right away, it's kind of like hard to stick with something that's that time consuming. Whereas like letters, I can like mass produce thousands and thousands of letters in a matter of minutes.
Exactly.
So that get printed and somebody else deals with it. But
yeah,
that's good. That's good that you're doing it.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Do they do any of the work in terms of like scraping, skip tracing the information, or do you have to do all that on your end and then?
We have to do that on our end.
Okay.
So it's the same type of thing. Like you have to upload a list of like 10,000 leads a month, which is like friggin' wild. And then, skip tracing those as well, which, has the additional cost to it, for the data and, passing it on. And my buddy, had like the scripts and stuff like that. And he, kind of like showed them like how we wanted it and stuff like that. So it's more on his end, but yeah, man. So we'll see how it goes. I'm curious. I'm like, if you're doing like 10,000 dials a month, man, I'm like for 6 months, I'm like, there's going to be something at least like a couple things that come out of this. You know what I mean?
If the numbers on that, it's kind of funny because you would think like, all right, if I call 100 homeowners, I bet you a couple of them are interested in selling, and like maybe like 1 in 500 is very serious and motivated. So that's like what you've got 20 or so right there. If you get a list of 10,000, that should be like 20 serious leads potentially. But I guess it also depends on how good the quality of the skip tracing is and stuff like that. But
exactly. So it's an experiment, and I'm excited to. I mean, we're in it now. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I literally think about it like every morning when I wake up, like, oh, like, we getting something today, like, and trying not to be, too hopeful, but, at the same time, like, oh, like shit, like this is a lot different than sending out, 300 letters at a time. And you know what I mean? So,
well, it is. It's totally, it's great that you're experimenting with different approaches. So love it.
We shall see, my man.
Keep me in mind if you get anything that's
absolutely
that you want to potentially sell. I'd be interested.
Absolutely, dude. You guys are always at the top of my list, man. You know that.
Kyle creating wealth for you right there.
But yeah, dude. So it's interesting, you know, and like just where we're at now, you know, and just I feel like that's the biggest thing, man, to something that you said earlier is like just making sure that you're making progress and just rolling forward, you know, and just kind of keeping your head down, you know, not getting discouraged and just continuing to roll, you know, and just
I think it's totally
it
fine to spend money pursuing something and lose it all, but to like learn a little bit in the process. So like even the marketing, like maybe you do this for 3 months and you don't get the leads that you thought, or you're not, whatever. I mean, it's just like you learn something there. So it's something to take away, and then you go try a different approach, and maybe you revisit it down the road, you know, and take what you've learned or go find a new service. You just like so much you can do with it. So
exactly.
It's all about forward progress. Sometimes progress is zigzag. It's Jason Regan was, explaining that the other day,
man.
The path to success isn't a straight line. There's a lot of twists and turns and lessons learned.
Exactly, man. Yep. So it's just gonna keep chugging along.
I love it.
But yeah, man.
What do you got there on your hat? Is that like an earpiece there?
No. So this is actually it's just headphones, but it's like it's blurred out, super weird, and my cameras are lagging at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like
I saw the wire hanging down, and I was like, oh, what's that cool little thing? The tech setup is new for me, but I figured if people are going to take the time to listen to me, I can at least invest in something to make it sound a little higher quality.
Yeah, man. I'm super excited for you to like hear this back and like hear your voice, because it sounds so fucking crisp in my ears right now, dude. Like it's awesome. Like it sounds
maybe it's your headphones. Maybe that's your headphones. Maybe it's not my microphone. I don't know.
It's so smooth, man. It's wicked smooth.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've only had a couple opportunities to experiment with it, so
hell yeah. But yeah, man.
How's your you still got that Lemon Stir 3 family, right?
I do. So something I was thinking about this morning. It's performing very well right now. There's still probably a good like $600 to $800 in rent increases over probably the next couple of years, assuming that the tenants stay that it needs to go up. So it's pretty stabilized, but it's not 100% optimal yet. You know what I mean? But my medium-term rental unit, I've gone back and forth for a while, man, on if the juice is worth the squeeze. And I've had a lot of conversations with people, and, there are people that do it incredibly well. Like Andrew Bosco, shout out to you, buddy, that, have a lot of those, really kick-ass relationships and like have that business model down freaking pat, to like stay on top of it and friggin' crush it, But I don't know for what I'm looking to do, man. I definitely wanted to taste it. And, at the right, I found out about that type of model and that type of flavor of the investing, space at a very specific time when like the unit had gone vacant, like I was fixing it anyway. And it was kind of one of those like now or never kind of situations where like, if I give it to a long-term tenant, like I'll never know, like I'll always have that, oh, well, what if, kind of thing. And I don't like that kind of thing, so I tried it out. The beginnings were tough, but a lot of it was growing pains and, like self-inflate, like caused by myself, from, not really, I don't know. I should have delegated a lot more, but basically the thing is, so I ended up, finally getting from December to April 20th. And she was supposed to, everything's been nothing shy of fantastic, man. Like they're freaking great. Like everything's been awesome. Like they're like the perfect residents to have in the building. You know what I mean? And things have been good. But the thing that I was going back and forth on, Ryan, is like literally like this morning, man. It's funny that like you bring up the building, because like this is on my mind. So that nurse ended up telling me like, oh, so my contract was supposed to get extended until like June, July, but the hospital wouldn't budge with her. And like, I don't know the logistics and the back end of how that dynamic works, but she was saying like the hospital wouldn't budge with her on a contract. So like she can't stay. She didn't get the extension, that was kind of promised to her. So she asked me, she's like, you mind if I stay for, she was supposed to leave on like April 20th because the lease dates are super weird with that model. Yeah. She's like, you mind if I just, pay for the month of April, stay for the whole month and then, leave on the 31st. I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. I'm like, I'm very, very thankful for having, you living in here. Like, it's been great. It sucks that like, it kind of panned out this way, you're phenomenal. But, so I went back and forth this morning, man. And I was like, I didn't have anybody in mind to rent it next because I thought I had a few more months, and like I don't have those types of relationships with like the staffing agencies and that kind of thing. Yeah. To make sure that I'm like on top of it and everything's overlapping over itself to minimize the vacancy altogether. Yeah. So I was like, man, honestly, like this morning I was debating on literally like, as soon as she leaves, taking all the furniture out of there. I technically only spent like maybe like $2,000 on furniture, and like some of it I got from like an aunt that was moving down to South Carolina, and like timing, and so like older stuff, you know what I mean? But
you stole one piece of furniture from every friend that you know, and you're like, where's my chair that was in the corner? But you eventually got an entire set of furniture together. So
this table is missing a leg on it, and like just don't put your drink on this corner.
Oh, like, imagine a table put together with different pieces from different tables.
But yeah, man. So I was thinking this morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, honestly, like what I neglected to think about, and I'm a little ashamed with, kind of thinking about it today, is the spread that I had realized for the MTR was an extra like $500 net every month. That's after utilities. That's after, reserves are put away. Like that's how much is net left over. But I didn't factor in vacancy. And because I don't have those relationships in place, it takes a lot longer to rent. So now it's like the value of that $500 a month, times 12 is $6,000 a year for doing it this particular way with a different type of management. Now all of a sudden isn't as attractive as it was initially. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what, honestly, like, and that's the thing, man, is like, I don't think like the hospitality-esque type of models are for me. Like I never wanted to get into Airbnb. I don't think I want to, unless somebody else is running like basically the whole thing. I'm like, and this kind of sort of is like a hybrid in that category. So I was thinking, I'm like, honestly, I want to just take all the furniture out again, which honestly would be like a day's work, maybe with like one or two other people.
So what if you, sorry to interrupt, but what if you try to just market this? Like, so I've got a medium-term rental in Medford, Massachusetts, and my sister helps me with managing that. She formerly was a travel nurse. So it helps having, I think, a lot of the nurses are females. So like having a female presenting the unit, I think just makes the other females more comfortable to begin with. But anyway, the point is more so like she's very active. She's on the Facebook groups. She's in the Furnish Finder community. And I think she even puts it on Airbnb, but as like a minimum 1 month rental type of thing.
Yes.
And you've already got the girl there for this month. And so you could experiment with both. You could like list the unit for rent come May 1st, right? Because you said she's staying to the end of April. You could do both models. You could say, I just got a long-term rental and you don't even have to say it's not furnished, right? Like everybody knows it's not going to be furnished. It's long-term rental, but you'll have the photographs with furniture in there and stuff. So it probably looks really cute and pretty because she furnished it or you furnished it and she helped furnish the rest of it. And then you can also start aggressively trying to find somebody in those Facebook groups, maybe because summer months are usually also trading at a premium. Like that's what it seems to be, is the warmer months, the travel nurses are willing to pay a little bit more. I think there's just more demand to move around that time of year. So you could experiment with both and just see what you get. And I don't know what the difference in prices, but if it's like, $2,000 a month versus $2,600 a month, like, maybe you say, fine, I'm not going to do it anymore unless I get an extra $750 a month. So maybe try listing it for $2,750 or something crazy like that. But it's worth a consideration, I would say.
Absolutely.
Even with the vacancy, because you said you're getting $6,000 more a month. I don't know what you say your monthly rent is when you furnish it. What's your monthly rate?
Like $2,600.
All right. So that's like 2.5 months of vacancy in a year you would need to like totally negate that that extra gain. Like I bet you could keep that to less than that potentially.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, one thing that I've realized too, man, is the demand for 1-beds in this particular area from Furnish Finder is through the roof. But for 2s, it's a lot less common. But the ironic thing is, man, is like literally I shit you not, man, this morning, like I'm sitting down, like I made a post about it in my group, like about like something about this. And literally like a half hour later, I get a notification from Furnish Finder, somebody that literally is going to be working at UMass Memorial in Leominster on like friggin' May 2nd that's living in Boston right now for like $2,400. And I'm like, holy shit. So like I sent him an email and like we've been talking and like he's trying to get something for like spring and summer and he's like, this would be perfect. And like it was just one of those like super weird, like it kind of like talked me off the ledge a little bit. It was kind of ironic.
The universe has a funny way of working. It stinks when it's not working in your favor. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely, man.
From experience,
but it's like
we all do it.
But that's the thing, to be honest with you, man, is like, so for a long term, I could probably get like 1,700 out of that unit as is. If I tossed a little bit of money, probably like maybe 18. New floors, countertops, maybe like a couple other small things. But
that's
so
almost like $1,000 difference, though.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if it's just $800, I think that from what you're telling me, if the difference is 800, it's just a matter of whether you can really manage that vacancy. Maybe you can manage it. I don't know how much vacancy you've had right now, but like maybe you can manage it even better than you've managed it in the past. I don't know, by getting a little bit more creative with how you market it. It seems like it's worth it. I wouldn't have thought Leominster is a high demanded area, but you must be near a hospital out there. So like that must be why. So
exactly.
I say keep it. You spend the money on the furniture. It's obviously very easy to undo a medium-term rental, and you can advertise it both ways for the time being. So I feel like, weigh both options for the next few weeks. And then if you don't have any traction, whatever, just move out the furniture and you can go the long-term rental way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense, man. And I mean, to be honest, like I don't think I'm going to try to do it again in the future. It's
definitely more management,
Yeah, and I think, like I said, like I definitely wanted to try it out and kind of see how I thought about it. Now at this point, it's been a while, since I've had it. You know what I mean? And seeing some of the fruits of my labor there. But I don't know, man. I think like I gravitate. I was thinking a lot about it this morning. I'm like, I gravitate a lot more towards like just getting them done long term, like keeping it traditional. And although the extra money is very helpful, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, man,
Yeah, no, every investor needs to make that decision for themselves. Even if it's more money, if it's more work, it might not be worth it, right? Where a lot of people are doing this for the pursuit of passive investment income. So if it becomes like a very active thing, it totally makes sense. You just got to evaluate. More money is not always
the answer.
Desirable.
Yeah.
Totally true. So like you gotta evaluate what makes sense for you. And that might free up time too for you to pursue other things that you're more interested in. So
exactly. So we'll see, man. But other than that, knock on wood, things have been going pretty well. I definitely can't complain about that building, man, at all. But
I'm happy to hear it's going well. Otherwise, you have a good problem here, which is like, do I want to make less money or do I want to keep making more money?
Exactly. I can't complain. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So again, Ryan, where on like social media and stuff can you be found?
Instagram and Facebook are the best places to get in touch with me. I'd say Instagram's even better. At Ryan R. Emrich, you'll get a good, healthy dose of food, libations, and real estate content on there. So, you'll have to be okay with all that, but you can find me on there for that. And then Facebook's mostly just real estate content. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm sure my handle, Ryan Emrich on Facebook, you can find me based out of Boston, Massachusetts. You'll find me on there. And then I'm also on TikTok at Ryan R. Emrich too, but I don't really use that for communicating as much. So I think you get more value targeting me on Facebook and Instagram.
Dope, man. Guys, you definitely want to follow this guy. I promise. It'll be very worth your while.
Yes, every once in a while you'll see a night in the life of Ryan, out in Boston on a Friday evening with my real estate or something.
Boston. What about like some random state across the country, another country across the world?
Yeah, sometimes I'm skiing in Colorado, sometimes I'm in Romania. I don't know. It just depends on the flavor of the month.
How everything's go. Yeah, you just you just figure it out, man.
You gotta live a little too, you know. That's the other
Yeah.
thing I've been trying to think about is you just gotta enjoy life right now, right? Like you're not gonna get your 20s back, or you're not gonna get your 30s back. So like do the things that you'll probably regret not doing when you look back on those years.
Hell yeah, man. That's so big. That's huge.
That's a wrap for today's episode. We want to thank you for being a valued listener of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Make sure to visit www.creatingwealth.com to connect with us. Dive into our ever-expanding library of informative blogs and explore a wide range of additional valuable resources. Stay tuned for our next episode as we continue to create wealth together.